Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Tech Support Podcast, where we meet with industry experts and answer your burning questions. Today, I am joined by a man who rivals the Dos Equis man as the most interesting guy in the world. He builds his own pinball machines. He makes AI horror movies, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Horror movies.
His name sounds like something you would read on a credit card statement. I am joined by Max Paiement from Ross Video. Max is one of our extremely talented crew members here at the AVIXA TV studio. We are coming to you live from ISE 2025, and his focus is on the virtual environments that you see as a part of our AVIXA TV live stream. So we figured it would be a great chance to kind of pick his brain a little bit, talk about all things AR, XR, VR. No, not VR, we said.
Not VR,
Yeah,
Close.
right. Some of the other Rs. But talk through all things virtual and the ways that it can be incorporated into various elements, not only broadcast, but other applications as well. So, Max, how you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Doing good.
Great show.
Wouldn't you mind? Yeah, I just wrote that just for you, man.
Thanks.
Yeah. Well, tell the people a little bit about what do you do at Ross Video? What's your role? What's your focus?
Yeah, so I'm the senior product specialist for Voyager RVS in general, but all of our solution, which entails virtual. So we have our virtual Voyager system, which is basically Unreal based software, which we use to render out our visuals, including Lucid Studio, which controls all the assets and all your elements in a virtual scenario. And we're going to be talking a bit about trackless as well, which is the trackless solution. So basically, yeah, I help consult customers and new customers for certain projects, and then try to inform others about what we can do, what we can provide for the solution.
Yep. So if you've been watching our AVIXA TV live stream, you'll see that we have got some different segments. We actually have a green screen here at the booth. We're going to actually walk you through some of the elements that we have and kind of use the booth to help illustrate some of the key questions and things that Max and others tend to handle quite frequently. So, ready to jump into questions?
Let's do it.
All right. First one. I'm going to throw a few acronyms at you here, okay? Let's start out with the basics. What is the difference between AR, XR, and VS?
Yeah, so we'll dive into each one. Maybe I'll talk about the pros and cons of each one as well.
Sure.
So we're going to follow through with AR. Jamie's going to be showing you guys some of the visuals that we have here for our show. So AR is 3D graphics that are overlaid on top of the camera feed. So what this means is that the visuals are always on top, always on the top layer of the camera. Which is kind of the con about it, is that you can never walk in front of it. So let's say you were going to have a virtual tree right now. We could never walk in front of it with AR. It would have to be always in the back. So in this case, that works actually well for a situation because the logo will always be in front of the desk. And also, if you look on the floor there, you'll see there's a virtual floor. There we go. Jamie just turned it on and off there. So that just helps to kind of clean out the area to kind of hide and mask the wires, the monitors, the lights that are on the ground. So you can use it as an advantage in terms of, hiding certain elements, production elements, whether even cameras too. You can put a column maybe to hide a camera operator that's in the way. So you can use that creatively to your advantage. And then if we pan over to the virtual side, we can also do set extensions with AR. So we can extend our studio and make it look, a lot bigger than what the actual studio space actually is. And we're cheating it too by having a video composite plane in the virtual set. So with the green screen, even though she's Carrie's in the green screen there, we can reproject her in the virtual space as if she's in the studio space.
Carrie's enjoying this way too much right now. She's having a great time over there. Yeah. So, and some of these solutions are really great because, where Carrie was just standing, it's actually our backup green screen. Our green screen is stuck in customs right now. That's our backup. So that's literally just a roll of green paper.
Going to be patenting the green screen soon, but as you can see, paper can help green paper in our situation. But yeah, typically we would have Pro Cycles on the way to help us out for a real green screen. But it still works out as long as it's green, not too reflective. It can do the job.
Yep.
So next one we have VS, so Virtual Studio. Typically, we use that term for green screen. We have also a tracking solution. So with the green screen, you would have someone on the green screen. You would remove the green, And because we're projecting them in a gaming environment, we can place that person anywhere in that space. So they can be behind, in front of objects. And then with their tracking solution, as we have a Furo camera here with Acid Cam, we can move the camera, the real camera robotically, and that data would be sent to the engine. It would match along. So the advantage of that is that you are flexible to move your camera as you wish in a VS situation. So therefore you can go around the person. You're not stuck being always face forward. So you have a bit more flexibility.
Yeah. Excellent.
Next one up, XR.
Yep.
So XR is probably the most expensive solution because we all know the LED walls can get fairly expensive fairly quick. So basically we're using the XR wall as kind of a window to look into the virtual world. So your talent is standing in front of the XR. And then when the camera moves, we're sending tracking data to the XR wall to create that parallax and make it seem like you're looking inside of this window. I say window because from the outside looking in, you can see into the world, but the camera doesn't see the outside typically. So they're only seeing as if they're actually there, unless we're doing set extension. So you can do a combination of AR and XR to kind of mask the outside of the screen to continue the visuals and give that full effect, right? Downfall for that would be, the cons, I guess, would be for a live environment. So if you have any studio audience, they would not see the perspective of the camera. So us as viewers would be an odd angle, but to the viewers watching on a screen, it makes sense because it's following the same angle from the same perspective as the camera. The pros about it is no green screen, meaning no keying. Keying meaning, no green spill. It's always something that we're trying to fight. Shadows as well. And what it does, it actually helps light the subject, basically like a backlight. So let's say in the case of a sunset on the screen, you want to have a nice sunset on your XR wall, you would get that nice orange glow, on that person that would be natural happening.
Right.
Other thing too, you got to make sure with XR is the floor. So if you don't have a LED floor, you have to make sure you have something physical that it's there. So physical props, if you're doing a desert scene, you want real sand on the floor for the talent to stand on. That way it matches the visuals in the background as well.
Yeah. What sorts of applications would you recommend for, let's say, green screen, or, what makes the most sense for utilizing some of these different technologies?
Yeah, so hardware, what do we need in terms? Yeah. So in general, a pretty beefy gaming computer helps a lot for sure, and it's going to help with your visuals. So the higher, we typically in our rendering boxes, we have our X1s. You have a really high-end video card, so it's all about the GPU. GPU is what's handling all the visuals in real time. So even your lighting, shaders, reflections, all that stuff is being calculated by the GPU. So that will limit you in terms of quality of your visuals, because the higher the GPU, the more it can handle, obviously. So that's one of the requirements. You will require Unreal Engine is kind of the standardized software out there right now. It's free, so it's nice to be able to download it for free and even jump into it and give it a try. There's a lot of great resources too for Unreal on YouTube, so it's a great platform to learn on. And then talk about cameras, basically any camera that we would have an SDI and a full frame camera, because when you get into a track situation, you want to have a full frame camera because that's what all of our lens profiles are based off. Yeah. So that helps a lot. Robotic cams, you could even start with a simple PTZ cam, like a Panasonic UE150 would help. Yeah. It has built-in data already for tracking data, and then Unreal can take that natively as well. So yeah. Then green screen, basic green screen helps. As long as you're covering the action you're trying to capture with the talent, that's a good base to start off of. And then good lighting. Yes. Have a good light to make sure that, you can have nice shadows or key out the shadows, whichever way you want to go.
Yeah. Kind of going back to Unreal Engine, I think one of the incredible things is that, like you said, it's free. So the barrier for entry there is very simple. You can log right on right now and download it.
Yep.
The one thing you do need, though, like you said, is a pretty powerful computer, plenty of storage space on it.
Yes.
For example, I downloaded it on my Mac and suddenly realized, whoa, I ran out of space very quickly.
Yeah, I think it's 30 gigs.
So you do need, like you said, the compute power, but then also, the storage, because some of those files are pretty massive.
Exactly, yeah. Even your sets, too, you can go, just start adding assets to your sets and more and more and more, and you can go from a 10 gig project to a 30 gig project pretty quick as well.
Right, yeah. So maybe some sort of computer where you can customize it, where you can add graphics cards or add storage pretty easily, might be helpful for someone who's looking to begin with Unreal Engine, right?
That's correct. Yeah. And also, I'm not sure. I think I missed the one step: video input cards. So make sure video input can get into the system and project your videos.
Yep, that's great. Okay. Next question. What is the difference between a tracked camera system and a trackless camera system?
Yeah, great question. So a track situation would be like our Furio camera, robotic cams here, the one that's currently moving. Because they have the tilt, pan, and rotation encoders on them, that data can be sent to the virtual system in order to capture that data and apply to the virtual cam to get the same movements, right? We also have the lens file that I mentioned. So lens file would be to capture the focus and zoom of the lens. And also we do a lens calibration for the glass, because glass has distortion on the outside edge, right? So when you do a zoom out, you're more on the outside of the edge than when you're zoomed in. So we do account for that as well. All that data is being sent through a protocol called 3D protocol, and then it's sent to the engine, and then the engine takes that data and applies it to the virtual cam, and then we match the two together. So that's basically how the track situation works. Trackless is our cheating way of doing it. So what we do is we have a locked off camera. Camera does not move. You frame it to, in our case for today, we have carried on the green screen. We're going to shoot a head to toe. So we're locked off wide. Typically, if it's one person, we would actually rotate the camera 90 degrees to get a vertical camera on her. And therefore, it gives us more pixels to work with in terms of the keying out the green. And then in a trackless world, what we do is it's the same idea where the video feed goes into the engine. So it lives in the virtual world. But it's a virtual camera that's going to be moving and not the real camera. So we're treating it in a way that when we're moving the virtual camera, the plane that Carrie is sitting on is always facing the camera no matter how we move. So we can never see the side of her or behind her because we're cheating it that she's always facing camera to simulate that tracking simulation.
Right. So this camera is completely locked right now. It's stationary on a tripod, but you're getting that movement because of the data that's being served through
just the virtual camera. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we have a software called Trackless Studio, which allows you to move the virtual camera without ever going into the Unreal or Voyager engine.
Yep.
So we try to keep the two separate. We want to keep the operators as operators and designers as designers.
Yep.
So therefore, when they're into Trackless Studio, the operator can just focus on moving their virtual cam as a real camera.
Yep.
Save presets, create their movements, and then operate them directly in the software.
Yeah. And using Unreal Engine then to create those environments as well. So you can, I mean, again, I think one of the most incredible things from my perspective is you don't need a massive studio. Like you can have very small footprint.
Closet space.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some of the areas where you guys have you squeeze a green cyc wall in the background and then you can put them anywhere you want, right?
Yeah, especially for the trackless situation because there's no tracking data and no calibration to be done.
Yeah.
It's a quick solution for a smaller space studio, and it's a quick setup and teardown, right? It's one camera, one tripod, green screen lighting,
right,
and you're good to go.
And all of these, from the augmented reality graphics that we talked about earlier to the virtual environments, they're very simple ways to elevate the quality of your production, right? Without necessarily having, there's a time and a place for LED studios and things like that, but if you're looking to maybe begin to dip your toe into the water of some of these virtual technologies, these are great ways to kind of graduate up depending on what your needs are, right?
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, so trackless is a great way to step into it. It's because it is a steep learning curve in the virtual production world.
Yep.
Especially when you get into the XR world and multiple cams, and it gets pretty complicated. So yeah, so if you ever want to get into the virtual production, Trackless Studio is the stepping stone into that production world.
Yep.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, next question here. What are some other uses for virtual production besides broadcast?
Yeah, so we're seeing more and more corporations using it as well for even marketing as well internally. It could be anything from maybe it's a concept that's coming out, a product that's coming out. Typically if you're doing custom design, you would have a AutoCAD or some type of file that would represent that item. And most of those softwares have the same way that all photographers can send out JPEGs. Most 3D software can send out like an OBJ or a certain file that's used within other softwares. So we can use like an AutoCAD file. Let's say it's a car manufacturer and they're coming out with a new car. They send us the AutoCAD of the car. We can import that into Unreal, project it into space, showcase it as if it's actually there as an AR piece. So that's like another side of use case that we've seen a lot more. Marketing, and then promotional materials too is a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even presentations, I would think too.
Presentations, yeah. So we do even like boxes. So typically, you like a Teams meeting, right? You would have your typical 3-box, kind of boring, generic way of presenting. With Voyager, you can have those boxes in 3D, and then create your animations for maybe it's a graphic bar, pie charts, or import your PowerPoint presentation NDI to a virtual plane. So and then you have some fun with it, make them animated, trigger them in and out, right? Make it a bit more fun than your traditional static images and team meetings.
It'll be interesting to see, because I've seen a little bit with Teams and Zoom some of the virtual environments that they create, and I'm still trying to figure out, where does this necessarily fit in like a conferencing and collaboration type of conversation. But it is interesting to think about just the possibilities of how you can make some of those meetings that could go on, you could make them much more engaging and interesting, especially thinking, so AVIXA, we're a global organization, right? So we have colleagues all spread out all around the world. We're fortunate to have events like ISE and Infocom where we can get together, but for other organizations that are global, but maybe don't have that chance to kind of gather, maybe some of these virtual environments could be used in a way to, like you said, create more engaging meetings and create the chance for connection between colleagues that are maybe spread out geographically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then they're fully customizable too. So if you have certain events, special events that are popping up virtually, you can rebrand it a bit, change the colors, make it a bit more special on the same set. So it's very easy, very forgiving to do that. Yeah. Yeah.
Very cool. Okay. Last question here for you. If I want to learn more about virtual production, where should I begin?
Yeah, there's actually on the Epic Games website, there's a really great course for virtual production that you can take just to get a quick bird's eye view of what's going on. YouTube's a great resource for a platform. There's a lot of great content on there, from the design aspect of things, how to optimize sets, because it is at the end of the game, you're designing a gaming level. So it's a lot about optimization, design, and then go into the production of things. How do we set up, some of the terminologies you have to learn and understand how things work. And then there's, I think, some of the certain schools in North America, at least that I'm aware of, that are offering virtual production courses. Yep. They're like 3 months shorter courses to specialize into, or do a 1-year intensive.
How did you get into it? Was it
I kind of fell
gaming?
Yeah, so I studied VFX, computer animation. Yep. That's where I saw Jurassic Park back in the 90s, and I fell in love with the T-Rex.
Absolutely.
That's what made me want to jump into it.
That's awesome.
So I went to college for that. It was a 3-year course. Luckily, in my course, they were splitting you off at the end of the year, so you can learn into gaming, you can go into VFX, or just traditional animation. And I chose gaming, and I was with Unreal 3 at the time. It's a very early stage of Unreal, so I actually learned it way back when, and then never touched it since. I did 10 years in broadcast, learning the ropes, and it just happened that the company I was working for at the time, they bought the virtual system with Unreal. So they're like, on my resume, like, hey, you used Unreal 10 years ago, right? You can do it.
Totally qualified.
Like, I'll try. I'll give it a try. And then so basically it was like R&D. We gave it a try, and it worked out really well. And it kind of took off from there.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's
funny how things work out.
I was going to say, did you ever think when you went the gaming route that you're like, no. See you later, broadcast, and now here you are.
Yeah, and I never thought a gaming engine would take over the broadcast world, right? That was kind of the unheard of. Even to this day, you're trying to hire a graphic designer for virtual, and it's, you're trying to basically hiring a gaming designer.
Right.
At the end of the day.
I feel like I've told people that, because I was video editing in college and things like that, and it was learning, either Final Cut or Premiere, one of the nonlinear editors or something. But I would tell someone now, in terms of professional development and growth, learn those things. But I think Unreal's right up there in terms of the things that you can do with it, that I think we're just scratching the surface, in terms of whether it's broadcast or, even the way they're using it for, different types of modeling. Yep. I mean, corporations are using it. It pops up in so many other places that you just wouldn't expect. Yeah, I feel like it's right up there with some of those just basics of in terms of software that you should really invest in knowing.
Yeah.
So
even personally, I use it to redesign my kitchen.
Yes, right, yeah, exactly,
So
right,
it's like,
right.
let's get a quick little previs of what's going on.
It's almost like the 3D CAD software and Unreal have kind of like become this thing that's like this go-to resource for everyone. So
great.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Great platform.
Well, Max, it's great. Thank you so much for taking a few minutes to chat with us. And be sure to stop by and see us at the AVIXA TV studio. Obviously, here at IC by the time you're watching this, but we'll be back at InfoComm. And until then, we'll see you later.